Good evening. My name is Anzlo Pulitzer, and tonight's top stories. Truth emerges victorious after CRN liberated from LCRV. Madness conquered as Pophonic officials removed from her embassy. Pandemonium behind closed doors as the third conference takes a turn. The beginning of the end as LCRE nukes are confiscated. And finally, news which shocks the core of my very own nation as our leader resigns. This is Communitas Regional News. Our first story is one of sombre triumph. Today marks a new chapter, not just for CRN, but for truth and for our country. It has been just 3 weeks since the tragic passing of Rudy Visscher, who was taken from us on live broadcast, a moment burned into international memory, a moment I never thought I'd be stepping into. But here I am. Not to replace him, no one could, but to carry the flame. Rudy was more than a newsman. He was a signal fire in fog. He believed that facts did not belong to the powerful. They belonged to the people. They were not weapons, but tools for building a better world. He told the truth, and in the end, he paid the price for it. In the wake of his death, CRN fell into chaos. The LCRE took control of this very desk, distorted headlines, fired loyal journalists, and broadcasted fear instead of facts. The effects were swift and violent. The Western Union faced revolution and disarray, socialist movements rose overnight, and all the while the people were told that it was order. That era is over. On April 14th, the Lytho-Czechnian government, with support from the Northlands District Police, reclaimed this building, reclaimed this voice, and every single journalist who was pushed out by force has been invited to return by choice. Now, I know some of you are wary of state media, and you should be. But let me say this plainly. If this government tells me to lie, I will walk. And if they force me to stay, I will speak louder. Because CRN belongs to the public now, not a party, not a faction, not a family name. And to the Visscher family, if you are watching, know this. Your legacy lives here, not in stone or statue, but in every broadcast, every byline, and every bit of truth we uncover. We'll report the whole truth, the full truth, and nothing but the truth. Our next story is a bit more comedic. If you're the sort of person who enjoys the phrase, better late than never, you are in for a treat. 2 years ago, a man named Mr. Blowhard, a major official of Commonwealth Pophonic, stood before the world and claimed, loudly and proudly, that his nation possessed nuclear weapons. Within days, the claim was denied by the Pophonic government, and within hours of that, Mr. Blowhard disappeared. Rumours abounded. Had he fled the country? Was he hiding in exile? Had he gone underground? As it turns out, no. He went to the Lytho-Czechnian embassy in Trier, capital city of Commonwealth Pophonic. Yeah, he moved in next door. Tensions between Lytho-Czechnia and Commonwealth Pophonic began to rise after his presence was discovered. Lytho-Czechnia resisted his arrest, citing concerns of sovereignty and what they called an invasion of land and a dangerous precedent. But during the recent third conference, the matter was forced into the open. A joint arrest warrant, issued by the Communitarian states and co-signed by 6 of the 10 nations present, made Blowhard's capture a diplomatic necessity. Even Commonwealth Pophonic's own executive leader signed it, in what one Lytho-Czechnian aide later called a moment of clarity and mild embarrassment. Lytho-Czechnia, in a gesture of compromise, agreed to let Commonwealth Pophonic attempt an arrest, on the condition that the guards be unarmed. Unfortunately, due to a catastrophic mistranslation, the Commonwealth Pophonic government sent guards who were quite literally missing arms. Needless to say, the operation failed. Enter stage left, Dr. Gregory Robinson, an on-site Prophonic official, and some might say, the patron saint of just winging it. Citing the previous failure and the Lytho-Czecnian government's infamous glacial response times, Robinson proposed shelling the site. Thankfully, Director Tor, head of the National Domestic Intelligence Agency, NIA, intervened and launched a second raid without permission. This time with full armament and a healthy dose of tear gas. When questioned why this second attempt was held, Dr. Robinson commented, "It's better to beg for forgiveness and ask permission." The raid was successful. Blowhard is now in Prophonic custody and will face charges for fraud, national deception, and 2 years of sheltering in bureaucratic limbo. Whether the Lytho-Czecnian government will lodge a formal protest over the breach remains to be seen. For now, justice has caught up with the man who cried mushroom cloud, and if nothing else, this saga reminds us that diplomacy, when done wrong, can be downright slapstick. Now, I'm honoured to bring you tonight's continuing coverage of the Third International Conference, a pivotal international event held right here in Lytho-Czechnia's own Legislature Hall. Since March 27th, the eyes of the world have turned to Legislature City, where delegates from 10 major nations have gathered behind closed doors to shape what may become the world's first ever universal declaration of human rights. Now, let me be clear. Most of what goes on inside the Legislature Hall, a building now locked down tighter than the ground vaults of the Zender Bank, remains officially classified. Even the precise chamber in which they're meeting is unknown. For the first time in our nation's history, the hall has been fully sealed to the public. No citizen access, no press, no protests. That, in and of itself, is momentous. The Commonwealth of Communitarian States, authors of the proposed declaration, have reportedly brought a delegation of over 30 members, led by Dr. Olivia Phillips herself. With them, representatives from Vikerland, Friesland, the Western Union, Sith Order, Separatist Council, Rowatna, Kollel, and the Enduring Sum. Each, supposedly, has had their say on the articles of this proposed human rights framework. From Lytho-Czechnia, President Maximilian Dominik and elected General Administrator Stefan Visscher were originally expected to lead the effort. However, following the abrupt illness of Mr. Visscher early into the conference, and Dominik's departure amid a national emergency, the role was temporarily handed to Mrs. Eva Hackshaw of the Ezeraski district. Recent sightings suggest Chairlady Viatella Gray has since joined our delegation, a significant move that suggests domestic legal concerns may be influencing the debate. That emergency, of course, came as it was discovered that the LCRV had stockpiled nuclear weapons. It is widely believed that this was the subject of a heated exchange between Dominik and the recently recovered Visscher outside the hall, just days after Visscher was discharged from care. Eyewitnesses describe sharp words and intense gesturing. Dominik has now reportedly left the premises with a bloody nose following the now infamous LCRE CRM broadcast of April 5th. Rumours have since emerged that Mr. Visscher was spotted leaving the legislature via a hidden tunnel to the McHale building. Civil servants working in the building have denied this, but then again, why would an EGA need to sneak out of his own government's headquarters? Theories abound, but none are confirmed. But the silence from officials grows louder by the day. Meanwhile, Western Union's delegation has been seen coming and going with unusual frequency, their attention clearly split by domestic unrest. Bulgarian rebels, still loyal to the pre-reunification regime, have reportedly launched a series of regional revolts. The situation has now grown so volatile that rumours suggest Western Union's own delegation was nearly recalled entirely. Their seats, as of now, do remain occupied though. And so, the conference continues. No statements, no press briefings, no leaks. All we know is that human rights, their definition, their reach, their protection are at the centre of this historic negotiation. Whether this will be the birth of a new international order or the prelude to a deeper schism remains to be seen. More stories to come after the break. Welcome back. This next story was, until very recently, on the no-fly list for this broadcast. And by that, I mean that the government requested, firmly, that we not report on it. Which is why I'm not showing them the script. Because when silence becomes a policy, suspicion becomes a duty. We're going to talk about nuclear weapons and the horrifying fact that as of at least September of 1967, our very own LCRE had access to them. That's right, the same political party that just weeks ago turned our trusted news station into a platform for fear-mongering, disinformation and chaos. It turns out they had nukes. Not metaphorical nukes, not rhetorical nukes, real, weaponized, radiating packages of global catastrophe. So how did we find out? Well, we don't know for sure, because no one will tell us. But the whispers have grown teeth. Theory 1. A spike in background radiation was detected in the southern districts late last year. Central District, to be specific. The readings were never confirmed, but sources in the National Environmental Bureau reported anomalies too large to be dismissed as faulty equipment. Theory 2. A mole. An insider within the LCRE's crumbling infrastructure who either grew a conscience or simply feared what might happen if their party's secrets stayed buried. No name, no face, but the theory persists. Some claim the mole was liquidated by the LCRE. Others claim he's now living under a new identity in the Aswan district. Theory 3. Eyes in the sky. This is my personal favourite contender for being the real story here. A routine surveillance flight over the mountain region may have captured what might have been weapons transport vehicles marked with symbols from the old pre-Unity arsenal codes. When Lytho-Czechnia's internal security tried to corroborate this, they were reportedly blocked by their own chain of command. Now, officially, the Lytho-Czechnian government has said nothing. Not a peep, not a press release, not a hearing, not even a leak from within Legislature Hall. The matter is entirely under wraps. So tightly sealed, in fact, that one might think that it never happened. Except we know it did. The only thing missing is the paperwork. The LCRE, ever graceful in defeat, has claimed the weapons were not theirs at all, but rather the private property of one Francis Evertson, a representative-elect from Hayston district and a long-standing LCRE affiliate. Yeah, you heard that right. They expect us to believe that a single man, not the party who appointed him, independently acquired nuclear arms, and just so happened to store them in an LCRE-aligned stronghold. Convenient. And if you're wondering what happened to Mr. Evertson, so are we. He has not been seen publicly since April 5th. His residence empty. His phone disconnected. His staff, they've all resigned. When contacted for comment, the Haystone District Council claimed they'd never formally seen him since the LCRE broadcast their only CRN release, which is odd, considering that there continues to be documents created under his name to this day. Now, here at CRN, we may not be war analysts, we may not be nuclear scientists, but we are, first and foremost, reporters. And this story matters, because the moment we accept that governments can possess weapons of mass destruction without accountability is the moment we accept silence as safety. We've reached out to both the Lytho-Czechnian government and the Office of the National Security Bureau for comment. We've received none, but we will continue to report openly, transparently, and truthfully on what comes next, because that's what Rudy Visscher would have wanted, and that's what this country deserves. Finally, tonight, a chapter closes. On the 7th of April 1969, the Office of the President released a statement that will be remembered by every Lytho-Czechnian household for years to come. President Maximilian Dominik, the man who has led our country since its inception, will step down. Effective the 7th of July, Dominik will officially vacate his post, paving the way for the first open presidential nomination in our young republic's history. It's a monumental moment. Not just because we're watching the departure of a founding figure, but because it confirms something far deeper. Lytho-Czechnia was never meant to belong to one man. In his own words, President Dominik stated, "If I continued to lead as the first president, as the unelected president, Lytho-Czechnia would fall into the dangerous precedent of being a dictatorship." It's a sentiment worth sitting with. From his early unification efforts to the formation of the legislature, Dominik was never chosen by ballot, but by necessity. He held together a patchwork of peoples, languages, and districts, and under his tenure, we've endured crises of scarcity, disinformation, and national identity. Now, he was never perfect. Few leaders are. But he was present. He was deliberate. And more than anything, he was aware that his time was borrowed. He continued, "Every time we overcame an issue, I wondered, do I resign now? And the answer was always, not yet. My aim has always been to make something that is going to outlive me, And I feel that now the answer to the question is, you can rest now. Your work is done. Critics, including some of our colleagues in the press, have pointed to the timing, suggesting his resignation is an escape from recent political fallout. That's their fine. But official documents suggest otherwise. The paperwork trails back to March 2nd, well before any of this month's turbulence had begun. The decision, it seems, wasn't made in crisis, it was made in peace. And maybe that's something to aspire to. In his closing remarks, President Dominic looked not to Parliament chambers or political legacy, but to his family. His wife Margaret, his son Gregory, his daughters Rachel and Susie. I anticipate gladly the rest I may be able to achieve. I can go hunting with my boy and watch my little girls grow up in a world I helped form. No matter where one stands on his policies, we at CRM believe this much is true. President Dominic didn't just build a government, he built the conditions for government to continue without him. And in the end, that is the mark of a true leader. We're going to have ongoing coverage of the transition process, including the upcoming 2-week nomination window beginning mid-July. Until then, we encourage all citizens of all districts to reflect on where we've been and where we're going next. Because this nation belongs to all of us now. We'll be back with headlines, international and local news, and responses from other nations soon. But for now, on behalf of the team here at CRN, thank you for tuning in. This has been Communitas Regional News. Good night.